Boa noite a todos. Vamos iniciar um evento do Instituto de Economia da UFRJ, do Laboratório de Responsabilidade Social e Sustentabilidade. Então, vamos contar com a nossa Carolin Fraude e Elsebeth Pravesha no evento Regeneração Pessoal e Resiliência Interna, alicerces para uma sustentabilidade eficiente. O conceito de regeneração é um conceito bem recente, né? Ele tenta fazer uma oposição, um complemento à ideia de sustentabilidade, e a ideia desse nosso evento é de que, para chegar a essa regeneração, precisamos também trabalhar o nosso interno e desse tema que vamos discutir aqui hoje. Eu vou falar rapidamente do nosso laboratório, a UFRJ, criada em 1920, em 96 com a criação do Instituto de Economia, e a primeira turma de MBA de Responsabilidade Social e Terceiro Setor se deu em 2002. O laboratório foi criado em 2004 e tivemos a primeira turma de MBA Economia e Gestão da Sustentabilidade de 2008. A partir daí, várias turmas distintas, na época da Copa do Mundo, gestão para construção sustentável. Também fizemos um MBA para Ministério das Cidades, de gestão e habilitação social, vários projetos. E agora, recentemente, 2020, a primeira turma de MBA de Cidades Inteligentes, e 2025, nossa primeira turma de ênfase em direito, responsabilidade social e terceiro setor com ênfase em direito. Então, estamos na 49ª turma do MBA Responsabilidade Social e Terceiro Setor, na primeira turma de MBA Responsabilidade Social e Terceiro Setor com ênfase em direito, MBA Economia e Gestão da Sustentabilidade, 29ª turma, e MBA em Cidade Inteligente, na quinta turma. Então, esse nosso evento de regeneração pessoal, vamos contar com a Carolin Fraude, que é pesquisadora do Instituto de Pesquisa e Sustentabilidade em Potsdam, na Alemanha, e que veio para participar da COP30. Ela também coordena a escola Brahma Kumaris em Berlim. Atua em sustentabilidade, investigando como valores e emoções podem levar a transformações sociais. A Elsebeth Pravesha mora no Brasil, mas é nascida na Dinamarca, é membro da UMA e trabalha com a questão de constelação familiar, cinesiologia quântica, dedica ao desenvolvimento da consciência e à promoção de mudanças sustentáveis e autoconhecimento. Nós vamos ter a tradução simultânea por Patrícia Carvalho. Creio que agora eles vão dar alguma explicação de como vocês se colocarem nas salas de tradução. Para quem quiser ouvir em inglês, apenas em inglês, a gente está no YouTube e a transmissão será só em inglês. E quem quiser ouvir em português vai ter que ficar aqui no Zoom. Quem que vai explicar então como é que eles fazem? Vai ser o Luiz ou o Augusto?
Eu posso explicar.
Por
Uma
favor,
boa
Augusto.
noite, uma boa noite a todos e todas. Para quem está no computador e quiser ouvir a tradução para o português, se você mexer o seu mouse, vai aparecer uma barrinha na parte de baixo e você vai clicar num globo que tem interpretation, ou interpretação, dependendo do idioma do seu Zoom. E aí você vai escolher a opção português, tá? No computador fica mais fácil. No celular, você também vai clicar, colocar o seu dedo ali na tela e vai mover as opções lá de baixo até o final. E aí vai ter uns três pontinhos do mais ou do more. E aí vai ter a opção interpretação ou interpretation. E ali você pode escolher o inglês ou o português, tá? Então, fiquem à vontade para escolher o idioma que mais se adequar a vocês. E agora a gente vai passar a bola aí para Carolin e para Elsebeth falarem e vão falar em inglês. Patrícia vai gentilmente traduzir aí para quem precisar. Tá bom? Muito obrigado e um bom evento para todos e todas.
Ok, muito
Okay.
obrigado. Carolin Fraude, will you please put your PPT? I will stop sharing mine.
Yeah, as a beginning,
You
I
are
would like to,
beginning?
yes, I'm starting out.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you very much for the invitation, Dr. Adalia from the lattice, for being able to be here tonight. And I have a suggestion for us just to come together, to open to a presentation. So I would like you all to open your screens so we can see you. Take a deep breath and just look at the people at the screen. Make connection. Perhaps the person is looking at you also. Perhaps not. But please open your eyes and recognize the people together with you in this seminar. Thank you very much for connecting. And now we give the word to Carolin, waiting for her nice presentation.
Thank you, Elsebeth, and also thank you for this invitation. Yes, thank you for coming. I have two presentations, and Elsebeth and I have created a flow where we will have very different approaches, a little bit presentation, a little bit dialogue amongst each other, some exercises. So we hope you will also not only learn a lot, but also enjoy and experience something today. My first presentation is an introduction into recent scientific field in sustainability, which has been put together by Professor Christine Wamsler from the Lund University in Sweden, who is a colleague of mine and has been working with me in different experiments we did at the COP with the Research Institute for Sustainability. So this is a very pointed, short presentation. I'm sharing my screen now. Just to adjust. Can you all see my screen? My sharing, yeah? Okay, great. So our topic, personal regeneration and inner resilience, foundations for effective sustainability. We would like to address this topic with the recent explorations on how have we as researchers, as politicians, as active people so far understood the climate crisis or any other crisis. And in the next few minutes, I will like to introduce the field of inner transformation for sustainability. I will explain why it is important to address human inner dimensions for accelerating climate action and indicate how this can be actually done. I have three key messages, and I will summarize them very briefly. My first message is that current approaches are insufficient. We now are short before the 30th UN Climate Change Conference, and the efforts from really all over the world, all sorts of backgrounds coming together, all sorts of expertise, and still our environment hasn't improved, but actually the situation has become worse. So this is something which we have to actually state and acknowledge that, that our current approaches to address climate change have not catalyzed the necessary change. We are experiencing an ecological catastrophe together with an intertwined worldwide mental health crisis, poverty, and political turmoil. This is because current approaches are based on a mistaken understanding that sustainability challenges, such as climate change, are external threats or crises. And since the way we define problems automatically also determine our responses to them, we address them with external, mainly technical solutions. In addition to current approaches, current approaches are based on a so-called knowledge deficit model. That's another aspect, which means the understanding is that the knowledge deficit model argues that if we could only provide all the information we have to all the people, all of our problems will be solved. That was what we have been thinking so far, and this is how we have been addressing the problem. However, we know now that this is not correct because we have an amazing body of information available, and we have done a lot of effort to spread this all over the world, but things have not changed. So current approaches finally have not catalyzed the necessary change because there is a clear gap between the work of professionals who focus on sustainability and climate change. On the one hand, and those who focus on personal development are totally separate in another domain, in another bubble, you can say. And this separation is hampering progress. So as a result, our professional and technological capacities for addressing climate change have been increasingly exponentially, but our ability to use them wisely has not. I'm coming to my second key message. There is a new field that addresses this current gap. And you can see this field in science and also in contributors in projects and practices. So talking about science, in recent years, a new field has emerged that looks at the interface between inner development, behavior, culture, and systems transformation. This new field is called Inner Transformation for Sustainability, integrated inner-outer transformation, or another term is existential sustainability. So these three terms we have for this new field: inner transformation for sustainability, integrated inner-outer transformation, or existential sustainability. Although this is still pretty new, today its importance is increasingly recognized by key players such as UNDP or the IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform, also the science policy platform on biodiversity and ecosystems services. This field has contributed to important advantagements. It has shown that sustainability challenges, such as climate change, are in fact a reflection of an inner human crisis. This inner crisis is based on an increasing separation from the self, others, and nature. This is a key aspect to where we can understand this separation and connection. So this crisis is based on an increasing separation towards the self, others, and nature. It results from modern societies, the so-called story of separation, which assumes that our thinking mind is separate from our feelings or emotions, that we are all separate from each other, that some humans are superior of others, and that we humans are separate and superior to the rest of the natural world. Accordingly, research has also shown that human inner dimensions include our individual and collective beliefs, values, worldviews, and associated inner capacities, and that these are deep leverage points for change. This refers to Donella Meadows' iceberg model, which she laid down in her first in the first part in Limits to Growth from the Club of Rome. Just adjusting the slide. And finally, studies in the field have identified how to address inner dimensions across individual, collective, and system levels in an integrated way. And Elsebeth will present one of them later. So I'm coming to the third and last key message. And this is, there is growing knowledge that can be tapped into to enhance hope and accelerate climate action. So this growing community of scholars who, together with educators and practitioners, have created a field of change and communities of practice that support a shift towards more sustainable paradigms and approaches. And they will provide concrete input, theories, and frameworks that show how a more integrated climate measures can be supported across sectors and scales. These frameworks indicate that transformation can only be achieved if we systematically address human inner dimensions across all scales, which is individual, the collective, and the system levels. Measures at individual and collective levels involve activities that can help us to tap into our inner potential, that can help us to discover our individual thinking and internalized cultural messages of separation, superiority, instrumentalization, in order to develop alternative approaches and nourish fields of change. Measures at system level aim to mainstream the consideration of inner dimensions into existing institutional and political systems. So it is about the institutionalization of integrated measures and approaches to existing cultures and mechanism. Thank you for listening. I hand now over. No, I now would like to invite you, after this very dense presentation and the 3 messages, that we have a few minutes in breakout groups to have the opportunity to digest and reflect a little bit for just 3-4 minutes what we have heard. So is this possible to send us into breakout groups?
That's okay,
How long it takes the
I think
conversation?
5 minutes would be nice, and
Okay.
groups of 3 people. And you can also, if you like, anytime, put something in the chat, any comments or questions. We will have time to discuss these. So before we go to the next topic, just a few minutes of whatever I heard. So the question is, what have I heard and what does it mean to me and how does it relate to my studies? I put the question in the chat. So
Augusto will put us into the breakout rooms, or yeah.
So does this work? Whoever is doing the breakout groups.
Okay, the breakout rooms are open and there are 3 people in each one of them.
Thank
Marcelo,
you.
você vai entrar também em uma das salas? Vai? Tá.
Thank you very much.
I will put Marcelo as well. The room 1. Okay.
Are we also going into breakout groups or do we have our own conversation?
Well, you decide.
Yeah, you are busy, I guess, with the breakout groups. Patricia, you are in the translation room, so you cannot speak to us if we are in the main room, right? I have to go and listen.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. Giane vai entrar também na sala com o seu celular aí?
Why don't you 4 talk to each other, because you all speak Portuguese and I've done the presentation anyway, so you speak.
Okay.
Posso entrar pelo céu.
Então,
Então,
apesar,
o Augusto,
só tem que diferenciar qual é qual
quando
aqui.
voltam dos breakout rooms, vão entrar na primeira slide meu.
Tá, ok. Eu vou projetar aqui. Falta mais 1 minuto e meio da sala só.
Quantas pessoas estão presentes?
Deixa eu ver. Acho que era isso. Tem 7 pessoas no breakout rooms.
Ah, ok.
Tem 7 lá. 7 aqui na sala principal. Agora são 14.
Ok.
No YouTube somos mais 5.
Ah, tá. Legal. Porque a Giana entrou com 2, eu tinha entrado com 2 também, para poder orientar aqui sobre o celular. E tinha uma outra pessoa que também tinha entrado com 2 aqui.
Ah, ok.
Acho que era a Karen.
Era só para ter uma ideia de quantas pessoas eu vejo em relação a quantos que tem.
Tá. Bom, só mais 40 segundos de sala e pronto. Daqui a pouco o pessoal já vai voltar aí.
Estamos falando rápido para você fazer a tradução, Patrícia? Tá tudo bem?
Okay, since we are obviously not talking to each other, I'm still curious, what have you heard?
What we have heard, I don't understand your question.
You don't understand the question?
No, what we have heard, about your presentation. Like
Yeah.
we have no, but now the time is fast, I think. Are they coming back now? You will open for people telling things if they want for a minute or two?
I can
or-
hear you, but they don't hear you because they are.
Yeah, I know that. But I think they're coming back now, so it's not nice to start telling a lot about what I felt.
Yeah, it's also inspiring that really this has been developed over the last couple of years, and it's a worldwide movement in science. So I'm really happy about this as well. So hello, thank you for coming back. Is everyone hearing the translation? Can everyone hear the translation? Yeah? Hello?
Yes.
Yes? Ingrid? Marcelo?
Okay, Caroline, okay, I understand.
Okay, great. Good. So we would like to just hear a little bit from you and from your conversations. We have a few more minutes before we go into the next part. Do you have any questions or any comments? How has the presentation landed with you? Boa noite.
Maybe one representative from each group. Who would
Monica,
like to speak from the group 1?
yeah.
Patrícia, boa noite. Vou falar, você me traduz, tá bom? Pode ser? O que a gente estava conversando no nosso grupo, você está me ouvindo bem? O que a gente estava conversando é que um ser humano conectado, ele não vai prejudicar a fauna, a flora. É um ser humano que está conectado com Deus, com o divino, ele externaliza isso por meio de compaixão, amor ao outro. Então, isso que a Caroline colocou faz muito sentido e é exatamente isso que a gente vê hoje, que nós estamos tão conectados e desconectados ao mesmo tempo, né? Então, o que foi consenso no nosso grupo é de que esse autoconhecimento, a gente procurando ser um ser humano melhor, isso a gente reverbera, né, na sociedade, né, de uma forma natural, né? E aí acho que o ser humano desconectou muito dessa essência, dessa conexão, e é reflexo como está a sociedade atual.
Sim, é só para isso, né?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to share a few thoughts of your conversations? There's Monica raising her hand. Yes, please.
Carolin, good night. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Professor Dalia's student, and I think that it's very important to start talking about subjective issues. We focus very much on technical aspects, and it's very important, but it's imperative to start talking about something that is, it's hard to tangibilize, it's hard to explain, but we can all feel. So, and something else, I think that one of the reasons why we feel so much lonely, nowadays is a disconnection from nature has happened. So we have disconnected from nature, we have disconnected from our fellow human beings. So if there is something we need to do on the 21st century, I think is go back to the roots and start finding ourselves on the, on the group. So I think that that would be a good way to start going back on making sense of life, just getting reconnected to nature, to people, to back to the origin. I think is it's we can go to Mars, but we won't talk to our neighbors. So, and I think that we are paying a very high price for that, because of that. And something else, I think that since pandemic, 2020, I think we lost a little bit the fear of talking about mental, issues. So I think it's all interconnected. It's the circularity of this whole thing we are talking about. And thank you very much for the opportunity. It's helps to bring more sense to what we are doing and to life. So thank you.
Thank you, Monica. It's always good to hear a little bit how things landed and how you all think, or some of you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Caroline, perhaps Sid, a lady that recommend you, must say a word. Sid, where are you?
CJ had to leave because he has an event in the city, so he had to take his
Okay.
guests. Yeah, he sent me a message by WhatsApp just now.
Okay.
I would like to hand over to you, Elsebeth. You are muted and you have to unmute. Thank you.
Yes, it's better to unmute, right? So I would like you to put on my first slide, if you could do so, Augusto. Yes. As we are talking about the regeneration of our person and the resilience that we need to have, and our grounding for sustainability to be efficient, we have to water our plants, we have to water our thoughts. And I think that we have a lot of ideas coming from Carolin, her presentation, about all the work we need to do. And in order to go on with the next part, I would like you once again, just to close your eyes for a little while. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think of your home, Make a mental picture of your home on your mind, your inner eye. What do you like about your home? What would you like to change? How do you deal with your home? What does it represent for you? Make it very colorful and clear. And I would like Augusto now to put on the second slide. And now, leaving your imagination inside your mind about your home, and open your eyes. This is our home. This is what we really need to care for. Our small little home at home, but our home as a society, as people taking care of this home we have together. I would like to put on the next slide, Augusto. And as you also talked when you came in from the groups about our necessity to, we know these things, as Carolin said, we know all the dimensions, and the scientists have told us for a long time. The political systems are a little slower, but we know it's not knowledge that we need in order to come through. And these inner development goals, it's a concept that was actually, it started in 2022, because the 17 goals from the United Nations about sustainability, when we were halfway, was just 18% in development. So as Carolin said, we need another understanding in order to move. So please, we have to come back to track. And please give me the next slide. The inner development goals have been done in order to find exactly what we need, the human dimension. And they have put up 5 dimensions here, which is to see, to think, to relate, to collaborate, and to action. And underneath of these, we have a lot of competences that are to be developed in the human, inside each human, because we know that there's a law in the universe saying that as within, so without. So we have to work inside ourselves in order to make a strength so that we can carry through what we need to change. But when you look at this, all is interacting, man. So it's me who is thinking, I'm always also collaborating, but I'm also acting and I'm relating. But who is doing all that? For me, the most important part is the first column, sustainability thing, which is the to be. That is the most important, because the being is who is thinking, relating, collaborating, and acting. So please give me the next slide. Take a look at this picture. We probably all will recognize parts of us that are defending, trying to survive, trying to protect ourselves. And there's a human inside us that sometimes want to be different or to be more expansive, having more space. So who is it who is thinking, relating, collaborating, and acting. Who am I? That's a big question of all the times. And I just want to tell you that I started to think about that question, who am I? When I was 20, I was traveling on hitchhiking through the desert of Sahara. And as I was 20, I always had a lot of things that I could say, oh, I'm angry because my father didn't let me go to this party. Oh, I'm so sad that the professor gave me a bad note. I always had some reason outside myself. But in the middle of the Sahara, there were very few things that I could blame. So I had to ask myself, who am I inside myself, making all these movements of being? So from now nearly 50 years, I have asked myself, who am I? In order to know who am I, in order to act and relate and collaborate and think. You can go to the next slide. And what I have found during all those years, the inner development goals are developed for us to exactly go into these deeper things about who we are in order to be able to sustain the changes we need to make. And I have found during all these years that what is most needed of all is to have love towards myself. We are not learning very much that. So how do I perceive myself? We all go to this mirror in the morning before leaving home, and we are looking at how our hair is, if the makeup is right, if the beard is done well. But do we look at ourselves? Do we take contact with our eyes and see, here am I? I am going to have my next working day here. Are we greeting ourselves? And we need to have compassion for that person who lives inside this guy going for the fight during the day. Who am I inside? I have to integrate myself with that person, because a lot of times I do things just because I'm told to, because people tell me, because I have to. But is it coherent with me inside myself? So I have to give myself my hand and walk together with me when I'm inside this little child inside myself. So we have to start relating with ourselves. And when we start to relate with ourselves, we start to have a different and more powerful point and place from where to start relating with others. The more that I know who I am and I like myself, and I give myself my hand and go walking on the life, I will be able to accept and like others too. So it helps me to communicate. It helps me to relate with people who has another opinion, who see things differently. And in that way, we start to gather forces in order to make the changes that we need. And we have 4 years for the sustainable goals from 15 to 30. And also when we start to have more attention to ourselves and work more from our inner needs and ideas and wantings, we start to use much less energy on defending and being on the front line all the time. But we start to have much more energy in relation, in change, in communication and actions together. So it's very important that we start this first dimension about being, which is related to all the other dimensions. So when I relate to me, I know better who I am, who is taking the decision that I'm taking, and why I can sustain that, because I really believe that is the goal we need to go to. I have more human vision, and I can become much better to work and understand the other people. And I will give you I will give you an exercise which is called the coherence of the cardiacal, but it will come a little later. So you can go to the next. So again, who am I? And I just want to emphasize very much that the way that we think, the way that we talk, and the way that we act is the way that we will realize life. Because if I am not able to see something which is up here and I work down here, I will never enter in contact with the new ways of doing things, with the strength that is inside myself and in the people who co-create with me when we go for a level of our more sincere being. So with all I do, I actually create the reality, as within, so without. So for all the things that we know that Carolin was talking about, in order to be able to make sense of that and changes out of that, we need to work with all the inner development goals. Everything comes back. And also now we have a lot of quantum physics that shows us very clearly about the attraction we get when we act in some way. We will attract something which is equivalent. So if we change our mindset that it works, we have the power to do it. If we are sincere within, we are a lot of people working, and we can get much more strong feeling of changes than we have when we walk individually, being on the outside of our own being. And then this little thing, if I ask you to list all the people that that you love, how long time will you spend before your own name will be on the list? It is important to love ourselves. The more we love ourselves in a sincere way, less egocentric we will be. So you can put on the next. So I would suggest you to have some habits from now on, where you every morning connect with yourself. You brush your teeth, you make your hair, you do everything, but look yourself in the eyes and say, hi, how are you today? Let's live this day together and let's grow together. We have a lot of things to do to make this world a more beautiful place again. So I connect with you. I do it every morning. I talk with myself in the mirror. And I would like to offer to you a sentence which I use every day, which says like this in English: today is not whatever day. Today is the day that was given to me to live today. So if you start your day with that, you will automatically connect with your being, and you will value the people and the events and everything that you are living during the day. And the third is the meditation for the cardiac center, which I would like to do with you now. It's very nice if you could put your hand on your breath, or the left or the right. It doesn't matter. And then just feel, how do you feel now? Close your eyes, maintain your hand, and feel your hand on your breast. Perhaps you can also feel the heart beating. And when you inspire, you count for 4, and then you expire, opening your mouth, blowing out the air more slowly than you took the air in. So in and breathe out. In. Breathe in love for yourself. Breathe in acceptance for yourself. And then the exhale, which is longer, you exhale all your gratitude for everything that you have, that you are alive today, that you are here in this meeting. Inspiration, expiration. Perhaps you can start feeling that you get more relaxed inside. Actually, you do become more relaxed. The heartbeat slows. And when you do this exercise every day, if you feel in some moment overwhelmed for something, you put your hand here and your body will remember, it is for me to relax now. And then we can think, act, and talk from another place inside ourselves. The heart has much more electromagnetic fields than the brain. So doing this, we also start to listen to our heart and take our decisions from the heart. I would like you slowly to come back. Open your eyes again. So every time when in these stunning times that we are living, things become overwhelming, this little gesture helps you to be in the right place of your body in order to take your decision, to be calm. And you can even in the end make a smile inside yourself. When we smile inside ourselves, it can be a little smile on the mouth. The brain thinks, oh, she's smiling, everything is okay. So these are some of the acts taking part of the inner development goals that we all need to work in order to be more powerful in our daily reactions. Thank you so much. Anybody want to say something, or I pass back to my dear colleague Carolin? Or anybody would like to say something? Comment? No?
Was
Okay.
After
So
a
I think you can.
relaxing experience like this, I don't think people will want to say anything.
So it's you again, Caroline.
Thank you very much, Elsebeth. This was very, very good to bring in the emotion and connect with our inner part in a very practical way, not only theoretically. And we are doing a bit of a dance here, I feel, zwischen experience, theory, inner, outer. And for those who, in particularly for those who might have thought about, well, yes, it's good to meditate or it's good to connect with the self or love the self, but how do we change the world from that? How is the connection really? And I would like to offer you an example which brings exactly what the principles which Elsebeth was touching upon of reconnecting into a completely different domain, from the personal to and the relational to the systemic. And since we have very soon the climate change conference happening here in Brazil, I like to take this example of the climate change conferences. So I will share my screen and I just share the experiments which we have been doing and how that connects with what just have been explored. So I will make connections to what you have said, Elsebeth. So can you see the slides? Or this slide? Yeah. I hope so. So when
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. When we started to go to the climate change conferences, we asked, and this is the Research Institute for Sustainability, we asked ourselves how are they working here, and how is the knowledge which is being brought to the COP actually used. And I have to say a few more sentences about the Research Institute, actually, because the Research Institute in Potsdam also looks at new forms of science. Understanding and acknowledging that the problems we are facing nowadays are wicked problems, very complex, very complicated issues, crises, which we cannot address with 1, 2, 3 disciplines, but we need to have a much broader understanding and more diverse knowledge bodies to tap from and to learn from to address these crises. We also need knowledge which is beyond academia. For example, we need knowledge about transformative processes. How do we design and lead societies through transformative processes? And that is also bringing in very practical knowledge from people on the ground, practitioners, also facilitators. Many of my colleagues are facilitators as well. But also knowledge, for example, of indigenous communities, because what we are talking about here is something which we call relational transformation. Transformation which identifies the crucial point of the system we want to transform, an unsustainable system, in the moment where we relate to someone else or nature. And Elsebeth, you have spoken about the importance of really having a different, deeper, and healthy connection to the self, because the way we relate to ourselves or to other human beings or live relationships is based on show as very similar, same patterns to how we relate to environment. So it's like with growing disconnection, we have stopped perceiving the boundaries of the other and the boundaries of ourselves. So consequently, we all the time transgress ourselves. That can lead to burnout, for example, other people, that can lead to abusive relationships, or environmental destruction, where we extract and extract and extract, not perceiving anymore that the environment is a living system which is very sensitive and which we can bring out of balance, which we have done by now. And so we can bring ourselves out of balance, other people, or really nature. So why am I saying this? Because the crucial point is connection in this experiment. We have been looking at the climate change conference and looked at how do people encounter here each other? How do they communicate? And as you can see in the pictures of this on the slide, it's a very clear, strong, one-dimensional communication. There are a few guys sitting, and it's usually, or very often guys, or men, in the front doing one PowerPoint after the other, and the majority being passive in the audience and listen. There is no interconnection or interaction at all. Despite the fact that everyone at the COP brings a lot of important knowledge. So we were asking, how are people experiencing the culture of communication and being at the COP? And we can see very much just to be at the COP is very exhausting. The technical noise is extreme. The confusion, the complexity just of who is talking about what, with whom, in which room, and how do I get there in itself is extremely exhausting. But also the emotions, anger, frustration, which are very perceivable or very dominant, but no one is talking about them. So they're there, but we pretend they're not there. So we in our first research, and we learned from the participants or the delegates that they don't experience the culture of communication as conducive to the work they are doing to actually try to reduce climate change. So this is was our first research question. Does the culture of communication and relationships at the COP help us to take action together? And the response was clearly no. The culture of communication is actually increasing separation, mistrust, and frustration, and is not conducive to create action together. So what we did is we asked another question, and that was, is it possible in this environment, which is so difficult, to actually change the culture of communication and being together? So we rented a small pavilion space, and instead of this setup, which you see here in the top, we created a circle of chairs, invited people to sit in that circle, and facilitated conversations, dialogues. We used facilitation approaches like the art of hosting, for example, learning how to create safe spaces that people actually meet each other on a different level, on a human level. And this was an assumption which we had, that when people are leaving their external identity behind not speaking from the point of I'm the representative of this and this nation, have to bring this and this agenda, or I'm the representative of this organization, but no, I'm a human being and I'm meeting another human being. And the moment when this culture was created, when people were really talking to each other on that authentic level, something interesting happened. People started to talk much more were much more able to understand each other, and they actually discovered that they have a lot of similarities. It might be having grandchildren. We are living on the same planet, as you saw this beautiful planet. We are sitting in the same boat. It doesn't make sense to negotiate between borders, as climate change doesn't stop at a border. So we did further research on how is it possible in this particular context to create an environment of trust, enhance quality relationships for actually collaboration and climate action. So we came up with these design principles that, first of all, we need to connect people with each other so they can talk to each other and get to know each other personally. We need to create environments and practices where people actually listen to each other, because usually if you listen to a presentation or you listen to another person, in this context at least, you don't really listen, but you have your own arguments in your head which you want to, as fast as possible, bring on the table. But here we practice deep listening, which really changed the quality of conversation. And then enable reflection, digestion, and integration, because bombarding people with knowledge and figures and facts doesn't really transform, as we know. Yes, and then also we invested research and time and to develop actually relationships between stakeholders and networks, so that it's more likely that people work together. If you are interested, you are most welcome to look at our publications on these experiments at the COP. We also wrote a policy brief, which we offered to the UN. Yes, and the Brahma Kumaris were partnering in this project, like several other universities, the University of Freiburg, the University of Lund, and the Brahma Kumaris did some meditation practices there as well. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, you're most welcome to look at these websites. Thank you for listening, and I hope our experiment was getting through. So,
excuse me, perhaps we are asking for any question of somebody. Monica Garcia, do you want to ask something?
Yes, Professora. Carolin, do you think we will be able to have a signed agreement at the end of COP30?
Monica, that's a question which I cannot answer, because many things are quite unpredictable, but I can say that I'm not too hopeful about the COP in general, because we have players at the COP who seem to intentionally postpone every negotiation day by creating problems. But I also can say that in the COP, and the COP is a big pot of very, very different players, there are many good movements happening as well. So in the recent years, good initiatives, good in the sense of initiatives which really include, for example, the understanding which we have laid out here, and create relationships, trust between different negotiators from countries who would otherwise not talk to each other, so that on the basis of trust, collaboration can happen. But to be honest, I think the most important things are not being talked about. They are not making it to the media because they are happening on site. Many people go there because, and that's actually also the reason why I'm going there, because I'm not a negotiator. I'm not participating in the texts or in the agreements, but I'm there to support other people and to strengthen networks and bring in ethical perspectives, value-based perspectives. So there are many good people who are very, very informed and have also very good intentions, but the COP system in itself, the UN system, is very difficult, I feel.
Okay. We have in the chat Danny Kwasi, another student of us. She said that I hope they will be touched by the grandeur of our Amazon. Do you think it will be they will be touched by the Amazon?
I do believe, if I'm to answer, I do believe that experiences like that, being in the beauty of nature, and especially the Amazon, even though I haven't been there, but everyone I have talked to who has been there said that it had a magical, very deep effect on them.
Yeah, I think I think this is a hope, because I think that's why the COP is being held there. So there is a great opportunity to us to have these people connected with the nature. I think we hope.
Yes.
And I'm very happy and pleasantly surprised that that you are there with this, this view, the sensitive view, this perspective, the humanist perspective. So I hope there are more people like you there to try to connect people to the nature again. And I think we have the good opportunity, because they will be nearby, they are nearby the Amazon. So they are going to be touched with that magic, I hope.
I'm sure many.
Especially Alter do Chão, that is a paradise. Okay, something else? Somebody else want to speak?
I just want to show my last slide, because I have a possibility for participating in a very nice event that will come up this month. So, yeah, if you see here, I work in the UMA hub for negócios regenerativos. And I will say this in Portuguese, okay, Carolin?
Absolutely.
Porque a gente tem uma jornada das economias que afirmam a vida, que é com J. Trump, que é o fundador, entre os fundadores da Schumacher College, na Inglaterra, e ele é pioneiro em implementando novas energias e formas de viver economicamente. Ele vai estar aqui no dia 13 a 27 de novembro, no Rio, no Vale das Videiras, aqui em Petrópolis, em São Paulo. E se alguém tem interesse em participar, com esse código aqui do QR Code, quando vocês entram, vocês colocam jornada 15 e vai ter 15% de desconto nos eventos. Porque como vocês são do departamento de economia, pode ser interessante talvez ver essa nova forma de ter a vida como um dos valores da economia, né? E a outra questão é que embaixo vocês vão ver outro código que é da Hobby, da uma Hobby do Negócios Regenerativos, que tem um curso montado sobre essa reeconomia no Canvas, em vez de ser a forma antiga, normal, ele já está testado, já está sendo usado em vários lugares, até o J-Tom tem vários lugares no mundo onde a economia roda diferente, e vai ter curso sobre essa economia do Canvas em 2026. Então, se vocês têm interesse para saber mais sobre isso, também tem aqui um QR Code for that. Não desconto, só isso no JTOMT, que vai chegar por agora. Vocês estão muito bem-vindas. E os outros dados é sobre meu trabalho e quem eu sou, o que eu faço. Chamo meu trabalho A Vida é Minha Mestra, porque a gente tem que aprender muito com a vida. É uma mestra para a gente aprender a viver. Não para fechar,
Bom,
mas eu queria que essa jornada com 15% de desconto sobre o JTOMT, que em vez de ir para a Inglaterra, ele está vindo aqui no Rio de Janeiro, né? Tudo de bom.
que bom. Então, vamos aproveitar. Tem vários aplausos, corações aparecendo. Muito obrigada, Carolina, Elsebeth, Augusto, que nos ajudou com essa parte tecnológica. Conseguimos, graças a você, agora ter um Zoom com tradução simultânea, coisa que a gente não tinha. E obrigado por o Cid Aled, que recomendou vocês. Muito obrigado, foi muito instrutivo e sensitivo. E assim a ciência e o coração vão andando junto e para frente para a regeneração. Muito obrigado, boa noite a todos.
Professora, antes de terminar, a Carolin tinha me pedido para fazer uma meditação final. Se vocês estiverem de acordo, nós
Mas
vamos
quem
fazer
pediu para fazer isso?
a Carolin.
Ah, tá.
Se vocês estiverem de acordo, a gente pode fazer um momento final de reflexão, de introspecção. Podemos? Vocês
Ok.
acham? É?
Yes.
Português mesmo?
I asked Augusto because then he will be doing it in Portuguese and he organized this beautiful event. Thank you all for coming.
Bom, antes gostaria também de agradecer, assim como a professora Dália vai agradecer ao Cid, agradecer a ele também por ter facilitado para que nós pudéssemos estar aqui juntos agora nesse belo momento de compartilhamento. Então, gostaria
E
de...
agradecer ao Luiz também, que nos ajudou. Esqueci o
Ah,
Luiz da
claro,
lista. Luiz
claro.
Felipe, obrigado.
Sim, claro,
Agradeço a todos
agradecer
também.
o Luiz,
Obrigado, professor.
agradecer a Giane, que está gravando o nosso evento para que depois o pessoal possa assisti-lo em português lá no canal de YouTube. Todos aí que participaram, todos que ajudaram, foi muito bom estar com vocês. Então, para a gente finalizar, sugerir uma breve reflexão para que a gente aproveite esse momento tão valioso que a gente dá a nós mesmos. Não há nenhum momento mais importante ou mais valioso do que o tempo que eu dou para cuidar do meu bem-estar, para cuidar da minha saúde mental, o tempo que eu dou a mim mesmo é extremamente importante, essencial na minha vida. E nesse momento de relaxamento, eu me sinto muito sereno, estável, Sinto uma profunda tranquilidade. Eu me volto para dentro de mim e reacesso toda a beleza dessa minha casa, desse meu lar interior. Eu visualizo no meio do cérebro, um pouquinho atrás dos olhos, uma estrelinha radiante, brilhante, luminosa, que envia raios de paz, de tranquilidade, de serenidade e que me traz uma profunda calma. A minha respiração se torna naturalmente mais lenta e profunda quando eu me dou esse espaço, quando eu me dou essa oportunidade de me reconectar com a minha natureza verdadeira. A paz é a minha real natureza. E ela funciona como um solo fértil, onde as sementes de toda positividade podem crescer e gerar muitos frutos. Sementes de amor, um amor universal, incondicional. Sementes de pureza, uma intenção pura, genuína, completamente verdadeira. Todas as sementes que possibilitam que nós abracemos o nosso planeta e nos conectemos a uma consciência maior, de modo que sejamos instrumentos para vibrar e manifestar essa positividade, para que ela alcance todos os cantos do planeta. Nosso planeta é abraçado e envolvido por essa luz maravilhosa e nós juntos criamos assim um mundo novo, um mundo maravilhoso para todos nós, para todos os organismos vivos e não vivos do nosso planeta. E a gente pode usufruir por mais alguns momentos dessa chance maravilhosa que a gente dá a nós mesmos de fortalecer o nosso autocuidado e bem-estar e suavemente retornamos dessa viagem maravilhosa, essa viagem tão profunda, na qual não foi necessário ir a lugar algum, exceto para dentro de mim mesmo. Mesmo depois de suavemente retornar dessa experiência, eu vou manter a minha tranquilidade, a minha paz, e levar isso para a minha noite, para o meu fim de semana, para a minha próxima semana, de modo que eu possa contribuir, seja física ou mentalmente, com os resultados que todos nós almejamos para a COP30. Om Shanti. Na Brahma Kumaris nós usamos essa expressão Om Shanti, que significa eu sou um ser de paz. E quando a gente se cumprimenta falando Om Shanti, a gente também diz que eu reconheço essa paz em você também. Então, muito
Namastê.
obrigado a todos e a todas. Se a professora Dália quiser falar algo mais para
Não, namastê para
fechar.
todos.
Namastê.
Namastê.
Hum, hum. Obrigada, Augusto.